Hello everyone and welcome back to Jacqs Scraps. Thanks for joining me today for another design team project for Country Craft Creations. I previously mentioned in my interactive mini album series that I was doing another baby project, and I gave a little sneak peek as you can see here. And so I created one with the Boho Baby collection. However, I'm kind of wanting that to be a bit of a surprise for my great niece. So I decided, after speaking with my sister, to show you the baby boy one first, and then I'll later show you the baby girl project that I created. My sister had a friend who was having a baby boy, and so she asked me to create her a mini album as well. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So let's dig right into the project. So here is the project that I created. I know that these were quite the rage many years ago, but I actually had a chipboard mini album in my stash, and so when I found that while I was working on the Boho Baby album, I dug it out and wanted to create that for my great niece, which I did. So since I used the chipboard for that album, what I ended up doing was actually creating my own template. I have the full size of the baby onesie here, and then I broke it down to the tops and bottom. And then I even added some little accessory pieces such as trims, collars, and things like that for decorating the album, which you'll see here in a moment. Now I will have this available for you in my Ko-fi shop. However, for those that want to give a minimum donation, I will also email you the project sheet, which I consider one with photos and measurements. You might refer to them as a cutting guide. So I will include the baby boy and the baby girl on that, just so that you have that in your arsenal. So that is something new that I'm doing, and I'm probably going to be doing something like that going forward, providing my project sheets, which is the AKA cutting guides, at a minimum cost. It takes a lot of time and effort to put those together, and so it would really just help me and my channel out if you are able to support that. So like I said, these will be free in my Ko-fi shop, but if you do the minimum donation, I will also then email you, so make sure you include your email, the project sheet to go with that. Okay, enough of that information. Let's dig into this adorable little cutie here. For this project, I use Our Baby Boy by Echo Park. So what we have is a onesie mini album. There are 6 pages in total. Front and back would be 12. And I am just loving how this one turned out. Now this measures about, let's see, 8 1/4 inches wide by 8. And I used medium weight chipboard. When I cut the chipboard out, I used my brother's Scan and Cut to do that, which I was extremely surprised. It cut the chipboard like butter. So I'm definitely going to be engaging in that again. On the front here, I've added just some little charms here. We have some wooden charms that have the initials of the newborn. Added those on with a jump ring. Here we have a faux leather bow tie here, which is actually Cricut's faux leather. I created some suspenders using faux leather from the Dollar Tree. I love that color. It's so gorgeous. I put some little chipboard pieces here as to be like the buttons for the suspenders. And then I used the paper to create like the bottom and the top for the design. I've used some chipboard elements throughout to decorate, as well as some stickers. On the inside of the little pocket, so I made the bottom pants or shorts into a pocket, I have included a little frame, and this you can insert your photo right into there. So cute. And then here is a little tag that says Sweet and Tiny Human. You can write on the back, you could add a photo on the back. So cute, but there it is without anything in that pocket. I'm telling you, these are a lot of fun to make. So let's flip this over and go into the back side of that. For this design, I've used these stripes on the onesie to hold the insert. And what I created here was a little booklet with the 4x4 cut-aparts, "You Are My Sunshine," and when you open it up, I added a stamp of a camera just so that the person receiving this would know to insert their photo here. You could even do it over here, but I left room in case she wanted to journal. And then there's also room on the back to journal or add a photo. And then here is the page design. As you can see, I've added trim around the onesie and then my 3 stripes. I love that. It looks like a little racing outfit. And then to hold the little booklet, I actually kind of wove this in between the 3 stripes. So it goes underneath this one, over the center one, and then underneath the last one. And it holds it in there really good. Here is our next page. "Welcome, little one." These are little chipboard pieces. In the pocket, I created a little booklet out of the 3x4 cut-aparts. "Sweet and tiny human." And when you open it up, again, I did a stamp of a camera so that she knows to put photos. And then there's plenty of room to journal on the back side. And then we have another little tag that says, "You are a gift from heaven." And she could do writing or add a photo on the back of that. And then here is the page design. I just added trim here at the top in one color. And on the bottom, I did like a pattern on pattern for the trim. And I just really love how that turned out. Plenty of room to add more photos into these pockets as well. On the back side, we have a full onesie, and what I've done is created an interactive element. You just move this little foot charm out of the way, and then this opens up as a booklet. I need to stamp a camera in here so she knows to put the photos, but I'm sure she's getting the picture at this point. Super cute. Did some double matting here with 3x4 cards, and then some of the pattern paper. Here is our next page. We have like our little shorts and our top, and I added the little animals here. I backed these stickers on cardstock and then used my Scan and Cut to cut them out. Added a little chipboard piece here that says "Nice to meet you." Just did a pattern belt on the little shorts, and then here at the top I have a sticker on one side of the sleeve and a chipboard on the other. In the pocket, we have a 4x4 journal card. 10 little fingers, 10 tiny toes, 2 little eyes, 1 little nose. With every breath, my love for you grows. So cute. And then a place for a photo. And included this 4x6 journal card, "A wild thing, you make my heart sing." And then a place for a photo on the back of that. And here is what that page looks like. I just love this. It just is so sporty, and I'm so glad I thought of that. On this page, we have another full onesie where I added some stripes to the shoulders and sleeves. It gives it that little sporty look. And this is another interactive element. We have a magnetic closure here, which flips open to the right. And then we have like a little waterfall. So great places to add photos. These will fit 4x6. And here is the next page. I added some solid paper here for a belt, and then I put this little Saturn sticker there in the center, like a belt buckle. I just love that. It's so cute. I used some of the border strips to create these little cuffs on the shirt. So adorable. So there it is. And then the insert is a little booklet as well. It says "Welcome baby boy" with all the cute little icons. When you open this up, there's room to add 2 4x6 photos. And then on the back, I added some of the border strip as well. You could add one photo here across the top, like a 3x5, 3.5x5, or you could add two little small photos if you wanted, or even journal there. And here is the back side. I love this page. I just love this design that I came up with here. It just makes it look like an outfit you would wear to a party or a christening. I don't know. I just love it. And the interactive element here is a accordion pull out. So we just use this little tab here to pull up. There are 3 magnets in this section. I wanted to make sure that it stayed shut once photos were added. And in total, you'll be able to add 6 photos to this area. 2 here and 2 here. You can add a photo over this, or you could just leave the pattern paper. And in fact, you could even journal here with this one because it looks like lines. On the back side, I added pattern paper as well, just to add some interest, but you can add a photo over this as well as here. Really cute. And here is our next page. Cute little sentiments here. Born to be wild, wild about you, stay wild, moon child. And actually one of the inserts says stay wild, moon child as well to go along with that. This was one of the 4x4 cut aparts. Again, you have 2 spots for 4x4 photos or smaller. And then on the back, we have a nice area to add a little photo or journaling. Sweet child of mine. Then I included this little 4x6. You could add a photo here in either direction. And then on the back, you can add a 4x6 photo as well. And here is the page, so adorable. The way that I created this one was I cut out 2 of these shirts, one in solid, one in this heart pattern. And I cut out the center of the shirt so that when I glued those down on the side, it made it look like a little sweater or little jacket. I just thought that was so cute. And then I added matching trim on the sides. Just adorable. So many cute things. Added some stickers here. Now, besides the cover, I think this is my absolute favorite. I just love this. I love this whole sporty look. I, again, did the tone on tone, creating the little cuffs. It's just adorable. I love it. And then down here, we have then another interactive element. I used the stickers as a little point of opening. I love you to the moon. On the inside, it says little dreamer. And then I put an arrow here so she would know to pull this open to the right. And then you have an area for 3 photos. Here is our next page. Inside, we have a little booklet with the 3x4 cut aparts. Oh, baby. Add your photos on the inside and a little place to journal on the back. A cute little tag, dreaming big. And another 4x4 journal card. So you could journal here and then add your photo to the back. And here is the actual page. I love the 3 stripes going across here. I added the rocket to be like the little emblem sometimes you see on shirts, so that was the point of that. And then the matching trim here on the sleeves. Just adorable. And then our last page. This was so fun. I kind of giggled over this one, and you'll see why when I take out the pieces. But we have here is a full onesie, and I created a pocket, added some little buttons here. In the inside, we have 3x4 journal cards, a precious bundle to cuddle and kiss. Life doesn't get much better than this. You can add a photo on the back, can journal on this one, add a photo on the back. And here it is. Isn't that adorable? This reminds me of the little onesies that have the little flap that you can unbutton and they come open. Just too cute. So adorable. I had so much fun with this project. I hope that you all will give this a try as well. And I'll have everything that you need linked down below in the description box. And that's the project. I absolutely love this. I can't wait to hear how the new mother feels about it, and my sister. It's just so fun to create something when you know it's actually going to someone that you know. So this was lots of fun to create, and I hope that you'll stick around. I have a tutorial following this portion of the video where I go over how I constructed the pages and made everything. And if you can't stay around for the tutorial, I thank you for joining me this far. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the little girl that's coming soon to a YouTube near you. Okay, everyone, let's get started on the tutorial. To start this project, the first thing that I did was went through all of my papers and I pulled out all of the cut apart sheets. And then I even took my pattern paper, and where I have two of the same paper, I switched them just so that I could see all of the prints as I go through them to make selections for my chipboards. So right now I'm going to set these aside and work on the cut aparts. Now as I go through and cut these 3x4 journal cards apart, I want to create a little booklet. So I want to keep at least two of these images together. Like this would be a really cute one. So this would be the front, this would be the back. But what I've selected is this one that says Sweet and Tiny Human. So I took this and score at 3. So then when I fold this, I have a nice little booklet where I can add photos on the inside and have a nice decorative back. Now you can create as many of these little booklets as you would like. To create this project, the first thing that I needed to do was create a template. I had previously purchased the Recollections Onesie mini album, as I shared with you at the beginning of this video. I don't know if the Recollections Onesie chipboard is still available. I didn't do a search for it, so I don't have any idea. All I did was just create my own template, and I've been using this to create my onesies, as you can see here. So you'll need to either cut these out by hand on chipboard or upload them to your cutting machine software, Brother Scan and Cut. I'm sure you could use Silhouette and even Cricut and Cricut Design Space. If you cut them by hand, I recommend printing this out on heavy cardstock so that you can use this as a image once you cut it out, so that you could trace it onto your chipboard and then cut it from there. So since I uploaded the template to Brother Scan and Cut, I then tried it out to see if it would even work. And believe it or not, it would cut medium weight chipboard like butter. And I was so ecstatic over that. I thought I might have to use lightweight chipboard, but I didn't need to. It cut this so easily. I couldn't believe it. Sometimes when I even try to cut chipboard with my Cricut, I have issues, but I had no issues whatsoever. So for those that have a Brother Scan and Cut, I would definitely go for that one. So the first thing I did was cut out 6 of these. Once I cut out all of my chipboard pieces, I used my We Are Memory Keepers Big Mouth to cut my holes. I have them on the template as well. So I punched all my holes. Now, if you make this out of lightweight chipboard, I think that will be perfectly fine. It may be a little bit more flimsy than the medium weight chipboard, but once you get your cardstock on it and your decorative paper or pattern paper, it should be a nice weight as well. Okay, so that's the basis on how I got started. The next thing I did once I had the chipboards all squared away is I started cutting out all of the pattern paper to decorate the front and the back sides. What I've decided to do is create pockets for the front, and then on the back I'm using a solid piece of pattern paper, but then I'm doing an interactive element. And you'll see that as we go along. So the first thing we're going to work on is the cover, and unfortunately I got a little carried away when I was working on it, and I ended up gluing everything down. And I didn't realize it until after it was over that I wasn't supposed to glue things down, because I wanted to share that with you. But what I'll do now is to just kind of walk through what I've done and give you some measurements. So I cut out one full onesie, so that would be this one full onesie. And then I cut out just the bottom part, or the shorts, if you will. I glued this on so that it was a pocket. And then I added this faux leather as like suspenders. And this is faux leather from the Dollar Tree. And these pieces measured 5 7/8. So you'll need 2 of those. I just placed them, let's see, about 3/8 inches from the edge, from this, on the inside edge here, on both sides, 3/8 inches in, and then I glued it down and then just cut off the excess overage at the top. They came down about 1/2 inch from the top of the short. So 1/2 inch at the bottom, and then place it and then cut off whatever hanging over the edge. For the bow tie, I just found an image in Cricut Design Space and cut that out. So I really don't have any other way for you to have that. It is a 3-inch wide bow tie. Actually, that would be pretty easy to recreate. So I'm sorry I don't have a template for that one. Now in the pocket of the cover, I included one of the little tags, and then I also wanted to include a little frame. So to turn this into a little pocket frame, I took another piece of the pattern paper and I cut that down to be 3 by 2 7/8. I scored on 3 sides at 1/4 of an inch, as you can see here. And then I angle cut each of my corners. So angle cut here, down here, 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 and here. I lined these up, make sure everything fit. And if there was overage at the top, I'm just going to cut that off. And I'll do that after I get this glued on. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is a great way to use those frames we get in our collections but don't often use. Now you can just pop a photo in there and you are good to go. But let's go ahead and cut off the excess. Really cute to just tuck down in there. So that's the front cover. On the back side, I cut out one full onesie in this cute cloud paper. I cut out 3 strips that are about 3/8 inches wide by 8, so 3 of these. And I'm going to glue these onto the side here. So they're a little bit longer than I need. But I'm going to glue those on the side like little racing stripes. Thought that would be cute. And then I have all my little accessory pieces that I'm going to be using. That's going to be super cute. For my insert, I took one of the cut-aparts from the 12 by 12 sheet, and I left 2 of the 4 by 6 cut-aparts together. I thought this was the perfect one because when you score down the center and fold, you have a nice sentiment on the front, and then this nice area in the back. You could journal, you could add a photo, whatever you like. And then on the inside, you could add 2 photos. And then this will just get tucked up in between the stripes. So I'm only gluing down the top and gluing down the bottom. And this will tuck right underneath there. So that's how this page is going to work. Now, the one thing you want to remember when doing this is that you want to put your stripes on first before adding all of your little trim pieces. So one of the first things we should probably do is go ahead and mark this. And punch out our holes. I'm just using a regular paper punch. I am going to have it go over the holes, but that's why I punched it first. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to put some glue there, glue down here. I'm just kind of eyeballing this. There and here. Now there is blue on the other side, but I kind of like this color. I'm doing this a little bit around the curve, just so that it looks a little bit more natural, and right over the hole we just punched. So I'm keeping about, let's see, it's not even 1/8 of an inch, a little less than that. Now you could use ribbon for these trim pieces. I elected not to for the baby boy because I didn't want it to become like too girly with all the fabric, but you will see that in the boho baby, which is coming up after I give my niece her album. So there we have that. And then the way I wanted to do this was to weave this in between the two. Oh no. It's too big. Okay. And it's too wide, I think. Yeah. Real-time crafting here, folks. All right. Yeah. Oh. But that's too difficult for them. I wouldn't want them to have to go through all that. This has to be glued up here. There. Okay. I'm going to have to make a booklet like this with the 4x4s, and then I'll use that to put in here. And like I said, you will have seen that in the reveal, but that just showed you how you can run into issues, and there are always ways to fix them. So that's what I'll do. I'll just create something like this with the 4x4s, cut aparts, and then weave those into the little stripes. and that will be our interactive element for that page. Now I'm going to glue this on the back of the cover, but I will do that offline. Really, you can use your liquid glue. You can use tape adhesive on here if you want. You just glue it straight down. I'm not going to do that with you. I'm sure you understand what that means. That's so cute. Okay, so now we're on our second chipboard page and we're working on the front. When I first took the onesie shape and I wanted to cut it in half to have a top and a bottom, I ended up cutting the top and bottom at an even amount. And when you create the bottom into a pocket and you don't have any pattern paper going underneath the top part of the shorts, they're going to see the chipboard, and I don't want that. So I went back in and modified the size of my top, so to speak, and you can see that here, so that 1/4 of an inch would go underneath the bottom part or the shorts. So that way, when you put something into the pocket and you happen to lift this up, there will be pattern paper under there. So I wanted to explain that since this one is short, what I did was actually just cut another 1/4 of an inch piece by, what is this? 5 7/8. Yeah. So I'm going to glue this down. These two pieces are going to get glued all the way down to the chipboard. And then I'm going to take my little shorts here and glue this down and around the edges here, leaving the top open. And then that will get glued on top. Then we'll have a nice little pattern paper piece underneath that pocket. So I hope that makes sense, but that's how that's going to look. Now I didn't cut any more of the little trim pieces for the fronts until I actually sit down to decorate them, which I'm going to do offline. But I am showing you the base of how I put all the pages together. So this is how the second page goes, and this is the front. So for the back of page 2, we're going to cut out 1 full onesie. All right, so I'm just lining this up so I can create my holes. I always want to do those first so I don't forget. This also helps when you're decorating. Okay. And let's run through how we're doing this page. So the first thing you're going to need is some cardstock, and this measures 8 1/8 by 6, and you're going to score down the center at 4 1/16, and then just fold that up like a little booklet. Now I use the coordinating cardstock that went along with this collection, so that's the cardstock that I used. So that's going to get glued onto our onesie. Then you're going to need 1 piece of pattern paper that measures 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. You'll need 1 3x4 journal card and then a solid cardstock, and this measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to glue these two together and then glue this on to our booklet front. Okay, so now when you open this up, you have a nice area for 2 4x6 photos going portrait. That's why I made it 8 1/8 inches wide, so that there would be some spacing in between the two photos. So that 1/16 of an inch really does make a difference. So you're just going to need something to create a brad closure. You could punch a circle and then put some pattern paper on it and use that with a brad. Or if you have, you know, a decorative brad, such as this one, which is a monster brad, you could use that. That would be super cute as well. But I don't think I'm going to use that. I think I'm just going to use this one. It does have a nice little hole there at the top where it had a ring, but I can use that as my little place to hold my brad. Now, when you place this down on the paper, you want to place it far enough away so that when you are turning this, that it comes away from the cardstock. You don't want it too close or else it's just never going to go away from it, right? So if it's here, they can just go, yeah. I think that's a good spot. I think I'm just gonna push my hole in with my brad. Normally I would have taken a punch and punched my hole or used a pokey tool, but as you can see, my hole is right here. And it is about 3/8 inches out from the edge of the cardstock. I'm really stuck on 3/8 inches, I guess. And then they can just move it across like that. Awesome. Okay. It's another reason why I don't glue down my pattern paper right away, is so in case I want to do things like this, where I can hide the brads at the back. So now we have a nice tight closure, and they would just go like this and open it up and close it like that. Oh, that's cute. Now on the back, I'm just going to add a little bit of tape over the brad just to protect it there a little bit. And then I would just glue this down as normal and place it onto my chipboard, and you are good to go. And that is the back of page 2. Now we're working on the front of page 3. And for this one, again, I have cut a shirt and a shorts. This one is long enough so I don't have that extra piece to deal with, which is great. So I'm gluing the top all the way down, and then for the short, again, I'm gluing it down kind of on 3 sides here to create a pocket so we can tuck something in there. At this stage, I don't have those things created, but I'm trying to show you the interactive elements. I think that's more important than creating a photo mat or a booklet to go in the pocket. I'll probably add my trim later on as well. So that's how that one will look. So I cut out one onesie. And the first thing we're going to do is, you guessed it, trace our holes. On the back of page 3, we're going to create a standard waterfall. So you're going to need one piece of cardstock that measures 4 by 6 and 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 4.5 by 6. We're going to score the 2 pieces that are 4.5 by 6 with the short end across the top at 1/2 inch. So score both those at 1/2 inch, and then we're just going to fold over and burnish. So let me show you how we're doing this. We're going to have one 4 by 6, and then we're staggering out our other 2 pieces like this. It'll be like that, okay? I'm just kind of planning this out first, and then I can tell you exactly where to put yours, hopefully. So we can move all this over. Looks like it's about 3/8 inches in from the side. I'm totally stuck on that number. Maybe come back a little bit more. Now that I have the top glued down, before I glue down the bottom part, you're also going to need one piece of cardstock that measures 3 1/4 by 1 1/4. You're going to score down the center on the short side at 5/8 of an inch. Rotate the paper to be on the long side across the top and then score at 2 1/4 inches. Add one magnet to the inside and then glue that shut. And then just fold over on the 2 1/4 inch. We're going to glue this down for our closure. So go ahead and add adhesive to the bottom side of that. And place this underneath. And now we can glue this down all the way. Okay, now that we have our base piece down, we have our closure in place. We're going to take one of our little pieces, add adhesive to the outside of the hinge, and then place that next to the 4x6 cardstock that's already there. Just like a normal waterfall. Then we'll take our last piece, add adhesive to the outside of that hinge, and we'll place that one down. Just make sure everything's butted up against each other. To decorate the front of our waterfall, I'm going to add this cut down 4x6 journal card from the collection. And so I cut this down to be 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. And that gives almost 1/8 of an inch border. I just wanted it to be a little bit. I'm going to add paper under here so that I can actually see when I go to put this down and get it on there pretty straight. But before I do, the first thing we want to make sure is to add the other side of our magnet. Okay, now I'm going to add a sentiment here or maybe a little bit of decoration, but again, I'm going to do those type of details off screen. So that'll be the back side of page 3. Super cute. Just flip that open to then have your waterfall. Now on the baby girl one, which you haven't seen yet, I did put washi down in between these, which you could do or add pattern paper if you wanted to jazz it up a little bit. For the front of page 4, I have my little shirt and I have my little shorts. How cute is that? I love that one. So cute. Again, I glued that on 3 sides, creating this to be a pocket. You can add your trim around the little shorts if you wanted. You don't always have to do that. Might add some little buttons up here. Again, you will have already seen that. So, okay. So that's the front of page 4. And when we flip this over, so to speak. Oh, I did a little fun design on this one. Okay. So I have my little onesie. We need to punch the holes in it. And I guess I could have done that beforehand, but you know, didn't think about it. And it's a good reminder for you to not forget. Okay, we have our onesie. Now for this one, I created this little accessory trim piece. And that is right here on the template. Now the reason I created this was like as if it had a collar and buttons. So I'm going to be gluing that on straight like that. I think that's so adorable. So cute. Let's see. I found that these pieces are directional, so pay attention to that. So at this point, you could cut this to be shorter if you wanted it to just go here, but it doesn't matter because we're basically going to be covering up some of it. So just keep that in mind when you go to put this down. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue this down. Our interactive element for this page is going to be an accordion fold. So I had some of that really big, long Cricut paper, which, by the way, I didn't care for. It has a linen pattern, which I like, but I wanted this to be sturdier cardstock, and it's just not. So if you've never bought the, 12 by 24 cardstock from Cricut, I just wouldn't recommend it. I saw that Michaels carries that same size in cardstock, and it just looks like a nice heavier weight. I haven't bought it yet to try it out, but I was surprised that this was so flimsy, and I didn't really care for the colors. I just didn't like them. So anyways, I'm trying to use up what I can. So I cut out one piece. I'm going to give you the measurements in case you have that size paper, and then I'll give you the measurements for those that don't. So this is 17 by 4 1/4. And I scored this at 4 1/4, 8 1/2, and then I moved this down to where my 8 1/2 was at 0. Flip it over, move it down. 8 1/2 is at 0, and then score at 4 1/4. Okay? So then you have a nice accordion fold. Now, for those that don't have that long paper, you're going to need one piece that measures 9 inches. You're going to score that at 4 1/4 and 8 1/2. Your next piece will measure 8 1/2 inches, and you're going to score that at 4 1/4. Your second piece, you're going to attach to that 1/2 inch hinge. Let's say this is your 1/2 inch hinge because I don't have an example. You're going to glue your second piece onto that, and then that will attach your two pieces, creating it as one. Okay? I hope that makes sense. And then I'm using one of the 4x4 journal cards to put on the front as decoration. So the way that I'm putting this on to the base is I'm going to do it to where the flap kind of opens up like that. So when you fold it, it should look like an M. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to glue on my 4x4 journal card here. This will give us about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Then I'm going to add glue to the very last flap on the outside. Okay. Now you could make this a pocket if you wanted to. I'm just not going to do that since we have pockets on the front. And then I'm going to place this somewhere in the middle, wherever I think I like it. And actually, that looks good there. Just guesstimating. Let's see how I did. About 3/4. Yep, about 3/4. Pretty good. So what you've created is 2 photos there, 2 photos here, and then when you flip down, you have 2 more here. So that is 6 areas for photos. Now I should have mentioned for the closure, you could have added ribbon underneath the accordion fold before we glued it down. I just don't want to put a ribbon with a boy, even though it's a baby. That's just me. So I will probably be using magnets to hold this down. So I'll add my magnets, probably one here and here, and if I have to add a third one, I will. But then I'll put down some pattern paper. And if I do that, it will be 4 by 4 to cover the magnet. So I just wanted to let you know that. The next thing I cut for this are 2 tabs. I use my We Are Memory Keepers, or are we supposed to say We Are Makers now, even though it's branded We Are Memory Keepers? I don't know. But I used the tab punch to create these. And if you'll notice, I was very intentional on the direction of my little feet. So if you have it this way, they're going up. And when you flip it this way, they're going down. That's because when you put it on here, I want the feet to be going up like this. And then when you flip it over, they'll still be going up. So I'm going to add this little tab here. I just think it helps in flipping up the pages. I didn't know if I wanted to put it here in the center. I don't want that to look funny. So I think I'll put it off to the side here. But I think that's adorable. So that is page 4. Okay, here is page 5. My shorts and my top. So cute. Again, that one was short, so I'm going to be adding a little strip in there. But you won't have to worry about that when you cut yours. So cute. So I was also thinking about adding this little plaid piece. And this is 5 7/8 inches wide, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, by 1/8 of an inch. That was fun to cut, let me tell you. But I just think that would be really cute across there. So that's how I'm going to do that one. So I'll just glue all that down. Again, this is going to be a pocket, gluing on the sides. Okay, so that's the front. Okay, on the back side, you're going to cut out 1 full onesie. Again, let's do our holes. I want to interject here. Now you can add eyelets to the holes, and we're adding binder rings in the end if you want. I find that it really is a little bit harder to turn them on the binder rings when you add eyelets, but that's purely up to you. Okay, for this, we're going to create some flip outs. So you're going to need 1 piece of cardstock that measures 10.5 by 3 3/4. You're going to score down the center, and that's at 5 1/4. You're going to need another piece of cardstock, and this measures 5 3/4. And you're going to score on the long side at 1/2 inch and fold that under like that. Okay, this is going to go on the right hand side. You're going to need 1 journal card, and I cut this down to be 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. That's going to go on the front of this piece. Then you're going to need a 4 by 4 card, and this is cut down to 4 by 3 3/4. 4 by 3 3/4. Okay, and that's going to go on this one. But you're also going to need 2 pieces of solid cardstock, and these measure 5/8 by 3 3/4, and these are going to go on either side of our 4 by 3 3/4, like that. And this is the one with the hinge. Okay, so let's get these pieces glued on, these little pieces, and then we'll put it all together onto our onesie. Now, I just remembered we're doing magnets. So I'm going to quickly pop a magnet on the top. So for our long piece that we scored in half, you want this to open to the left-hand side. So we're going to put a magnet, I don't know, anywhere. How's that? That looks good. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to stop a moment and add adhesive to the inside of our hinge and attach these 2 pieces. I want to add the other side of our magnet now. I always add it the wrong way. You know, I never get it to where the tape is on the outside. So I just want to mention that the space in between these 2 strips is not a 4 by 4 size. So if I line that up there, it's going to go over the other side just ever so slightly. It was just the easiest thing to do, so it doesn't really matter. You can go over each side or just one. It's so slight, it probably won't be noticed. Okay, now we're going to take this, we're going to glue this down in the center of our little onesie. Now here again, you could glue this on 3 sides and make it a pocket to have something come out of the back. But this will open to the left, open to the right, and then you'll have 3 areas for photos here. And this fits 3.5 by 5 or 3 by 5 photos in these 3 spots. So my original idea was to just completely glue this down. Now for this page is where I got the idea for this little trim piece, and here it is. And it actually makes it look like a little sports tee, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it to the moon. Love it to the moon. So cute. I'm going to add a little piece down at the bottom, down here. And then I did cut 2 more pieces to go on the sleeve, because you know how sometimes you have like the rolled over sleeve, and I just think this looks so cute. Even though it's the same color cardstock, you can still see it, and it gives it just that little added touch. So I'll glue these pieces on later so that you don't have to see me do that. But I'm just gluing, and I'll punch my holes in the top of those, and that'll be that. Okay? I'll save some time there. But that's the end of the 5th page. Now we're on our last page, number 6. For this one, I have my little shirt. I have my little shorts. So cute. So that'll be the front. Again, I'm going to glue on 3 sides, making this a pocket. Same for all of them. And when we flip this over, the back side will have one full onesie of the little feeties. This one's going to be so cute, you guys. You'll need 1 piece of pattern paper that measures 5 by 3. This is going to go on the bottom here. I'm going to be adding the trim pieces that I cut out. So just to kind of show you, this is the trim piece that goes here. And this is actually a thinner trim piece. I made a wider one for this one, but it is that. And these go on the sleeves. And then this one is around the neck. And I'll have all these labeled so you'll know exactly where they go. But let's go ahead and start putting this one together. I just remembered I need to make you some templates for the shirt and shorts. So I'll do that as well. When you put on these pieces, since they're on the edge, just make sure that, you know, they're not hanging over and you're getting it on the right spot. I didn't punch my holes, but I'll do that after I get this on. And when I go around the circles, I kind of go at the outer edges. I don't just draw a circle. I just kind of go around it on the inside. Now for this one, we're going to gluing this on 3 sides, making it a pocket. This is going to be the piece that lays on the table. So you may not want to put too much decoration on the back side, even though, wait till I show you what I'm doing. Now I'm putting this pretty low. And then I'm going to add little buttons here and here. So it looks like, you know, one of those onesies that has the little panel for the bottom area. So cute. Now I did test this out. It does lift it up a little bit off the table. However, it does make it a little bit easier to pick up off the table. So that's when I decided to go ahead and add these. I just noticed my buttons, I thought these matched, but they don't match. So I'm going to have to find the other matching button. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use probably a flat sticky dot, put on the back of the button and add those there. And then I'll add some type of insert into the pocket. Okay, so that is how I decorated all of the pages. I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing everything down onto the chipboard. I really don't think you need to watch me do that. I gave you all of the measurements and instructions on how to create the interactive pages, and that we're creating pocket pages on the front. decorate away. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I did. It's super fun and it's so adorably cute. And now that we have a template to use, I may be making more of these because they're just too fun. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to comment. I would love to hear what you think about this project, and I'll see you next time.